Hey doing YouTube, this is Will from Will Development. I released a video where I did a very quick, I believe it was 3 to 5 minute review of Elliot Hulse's new book, King, with Chris Barner. And the response has been, for me, nuts. I mean, it's become my highest viewed video in under 2 months. It's just jumped up, it's gotten me 3-4 new subscribers. Crazy, it's awesome. How about that? You slap Elliot's name on something, people come and check it out, right? First of all, I'd like to show my appreciation for everybody who has come and seen what I'm all about, who's hopefully enjoying watching the journey of me going from a chubby, weak dude to a slightly more attractive and thinner, weaker dude, and then now into a strongman style guy. Now, because of the overwhelming response and because of the modest size of the channel that I run, I have always been able to appeal, or I'm trying to find the right word. I've always been able to listen to what the people who comment on my videos are asking and are saying to me, because there's not a lot of volume for me right now in terms of fan base or whatever you want to call it, or followers. So I told everybody when I first did that last video, which I'll put the link in the description below, that I would make a longer review if people requested it. And when I said that, I meant even if one person said, hey, you should do more, you should tell me more about it. The only problem with that idea is that I don't want to get into a problem area with anybody who was involved with making this book, whether it was publishers, which I believe Elliot published it himself, Elliot himself, or anybody involved in making this book, in that divulging too much information may cause. I don't know enough about copyright laws or anything like that, and I do not make money off of these videos out of choice. I choose not to monetize these videos right now. I may in the future, it depends on where my life goes. But right now, there's no money for me to be made for shilling this book, or for hating this book, or even talking about this book. So with that in mind, I am not going to read entire giant excerpts from this book, not out of fear of getting in trouble for it, but out of respect to the author, or authors I should say, and anybody who made this book. And I don't want them to be put into a position where, hey, this guy over here is basically giving the entire book away for free, and we can't have that. I don't want to put them in that position. I damn sure don't want to be in that position with the guy who's giving the book out for free. So with that in mind, I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to pretty much just talk about the damn thing for as long as I can, just going piece by piece. I've read it a couple times now, and I still haven't gotten to the point where I highlight it and, underline things that I like. So it's not a cold read, but with that in mind, I will be just flipping through and going, right, that's this part of the book. There's a lot of information in this book. A lot. Some I completely agree with, some I'm like, I'd like to do my own research on that, thank you very much. And some of it that just feels like foo-foo nonsense that I don't really give a shit about. That's where I'm at, but if you can get anything from it, I will spend as much time on each section as I personally can, regardless of my opinion on the section, so that way you can divulge as much knowledge and maybe influence your decision on whether or not to purchase it, or even start a conversation about a particular section that maybe you agreed with, maybe you didn't disagree with, that sort of thing. So with that in mind, we're just going to jump right into it, and I'm going to just leave the camera on record, and I'm going to go. And you know me, I got the biggest mouth in the South. That sounds dirty. I'm okay with that. I like to talk. But with that in mind too, I'm going to record this giant piece of video footage And I'm going to chop it up into smaller sections, 5-6 minutes a piece, that sort of thing, because I know people don't want to sit there for a fucking hour and listen to my dumbass talk about some book. Maybe they do. So the book itself is objectively a really good looking book on the outside. It looks a lot like a Bible, and I'm sure that was a marketing ploy or just an idea that somebody had, I don't know who, to just make it look that way. And if you were walking through a store and you saw the front cover of this, you would immediately read King and think King James Bible or something along those lines. Could you use this as a Bible for your life / lifting? Which the Bible is supposed to cover at least half of that, right? I would say yeah. Yeah, it's a very good suggestive roadmap for people. For anybody, really. The thing also to remember about this book is that it was written from the perspective of two guys that have grown up in, you know, the 80s, 90s era is when they grew up, and then, you know, continued on. I believe they're both around 30. I believe Elliot's like 36 or 37. And Chris, I believe, is in his 30s as well. So we're talking about people that grew up in not necessarily a different time, but, you know, a few decades back they were born, you know what I mean? So if you're younger like me, you know, in your 20s, some of the things they talk about are things that you will not go through, period. But I feel that the way they've written things, it's not necessarily timeless, but I think it can apply to any time. And the themes that recur are very good in general. And they can hit home with just about anybody. And that's because it's more generalized speeches, so to speak.